Happy Thursday, Cherries fans. Not long to go now until the Premier League season begins. Tomorrow, in fact, Crystal Palace versus Arsenal is kicking it off, but we don't care about that. It's the Saturday fixture that we're concerned with, but as ever by the titles, this is The Lowdown. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
And I'm Tigz.
And as it's a lowdown, we're concentrating on all things off the pitch. Now, we did one of these episodes recently where we covered off the incomings of Ryan Fredericks and Joe Rothwell, etc. But since then, there's been a few things that have been happening. Rumours, players we've been linked with, things that have come out that maybe shouldn't come out, quotes from Scott Parker, etc., which we all want to dissect, because I feel as though, Tigz, we probably should.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a hot topic of conversation, whether it be on social media or in pubs and around your breakfast in the morning. But yeah, some of the things that Parker has said in the press have been very interesting. They've been dissected different ways. So it's just our chance to have a little look at it ourselves and think about the meaning behind it, the purpose behind it. But also, things have started to kind of bubble. Somebody put that word out there, bubble, in terms of transfer rumours. So that's really interesting too.
Yeah, I feel like we say it's split opinions, hasn't it? The kind of Parker comments and the lack of transfer activity, if you like, amongst the fan base, and probably not ideal going into a new season to have a bit of a divide. But it's part and parcel of it. People have different opinions, but as Tigz said, I think now we're starting to get. I'm sure we'll go on to a few things bubbling and a bit more positivity and some contracts and stuff, which has been nice. Dom Solanke. So yeah, there's been a bit more positivity now.
So, if we're going to do things in chronological order, of course, we've covered the Tavernier signing. But before that, so obviously...
We drew with West Brom. How far back are we going?
Ryan Fredericks.
Yeah.
Joe Rothwell through the door. And then we play Bristol City. Tavernier's as good as signed. But
pretty much, yeah.
You've seen him out in town, etc. But, it wasn't confirmed. He did his medical. The media shots were done. Just waiting for that Monday morning release, I think it was.
Something like that.
We lost to Bristol City. Performance wasn't overly great, and then Parker came out and said the following words: we lost 8 players at the end of last season, we brought in 2. You'd say that at this moment in time we're a weaker squad and a weaker team than what we were at the back end of last season. These are the challenges that we face in terms of trying to get some help in to support the current team and current players to try to go to the next level of what we're going to, which is the Premier League. I'm obviously reading as Scott Parker says, so it may not make sense. We have had a good preseason in terms of hard work and the work we've put into the team, trying some different things. We are engaged in that. But he goes on to say, I think it's clear that we're going to need some help in bringing in players. But there's nothing at this present moment in time that makes me feel that is going to happen. There will be additions, but at this moment in time, if you ask me the question, is anything imminent or close, then it doesn't feel like it at this moment. So it's all sort of garbled, but after Bristol City, Tigz, it was very clear that there was frustration creeping in with Parker. A little bit.
A little bit. I mean, he was asked. I don't think he likes being asked questions. This is a kind of a theme I think that we're gonna see throughout this, because I think if we'd won the game, maybe his responses might have been different.
Yeah,
that sounds silly, really, because we know pre-season is pre-season. But it does sound a little bit defensive at this point. A little bit kind of like, I haven't got anything to tell you, so don't ask me. He does make a point about that we lost 8 players. We discussed this a little bit before between us, in that how many of those 8 players were playing week in, week out. Not many. I mean, really, Nat Phillips is the one. He's the big one, isn't he, that you're missing. But apart from that, we're not that different. He says we're a weaker team. We are. But we know which position we needed strengthening in, and that's not happened. So
yeah, now how many of them 8? I mean, he wouldn't have wanted to go into the season with Leif Davis, with Todd Cantwell, with Gavin Kilkenny, because he chose not to keep. I mean, he had the option to have Cantwell if he wanted him. We didn't use him last season. He chose to let Kilkenny go out and load to go get minutes because he won't get minutes. So 8's a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's just. I suppose he would say it's just factually it's 8, which is fair enough. But yeah, I agree. I think sometimes it's difficult for a manager. You get asked them sort of questions. If he had come out and said, "I'm not discussing anything transfers until they're through the door," everyone would go, "Oh, come on, give us something." Yeah. So he's been honest. But yeah, some things that I'm sure we'll come on to, even more things that maybe you'd like to be kept in house a little bit and keep the spirits up.
Yeah. So Tavernier signs. There are some vague rumours of a few players which we'll go on to. But then after the Sociedad game, he comes out and says it's clear that we're lacking in a lot of areas. That's very clear. We need to work out whether we want to give ourselves a chance of being competitive this year. At the moment, that's not the case. He added, I didn't anticipate at this moment in time to be where we are 6 days out from the start of the season, but that's exactly where we are. He said, he was asked about why recruitment has been slow, and he said, there are reasons, of course. I understand the pressures and where we are as a football club. I do understand that, but I'm not 100% sure. I have a rough idea on certain things, of course I do, but this is where we are at the moment. We're short at the moment, and that's very clear. We're 6 days out from the start of the Premier League season, and we're way short of where we need to be. That's the cold, hard facts, really. We need to do all we can to try and get some help. It's obviously clear we've barely any defenders. We've lost 8 at the start of the season. At this present moment in time, the squad is much weaker than what it was when we got promoted. We need to work out what we want to be, how ambitious we want to be from this year in terms of us, and how competitive we want to be. I mean, I could go on. I'll read some more quotes, but it gets increasingly damning the more he speaks.
Yeah.
Which I think is a worry. To me, undermines the existing squad a little bit by saying that.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I think the players, they know kind of what their role is probably in the team, and you don't need to put certain things out publicly. There's been, I get the other point of people saying, we don't know this, but if he has gone to the powers that be and they've promised him stuff at a certain time and he hasn't got them, maybe he's trying to push them publicly. I'm not a massive fan. I heard Simon Jordan on TalkSport saying a few bits which I agree with a little bit. He was kind of saying, well, this happened at Fulham with Scott Parker. He fell out with the owners.
Family, yeah.
And Bournemouth have been in the Premier League before, and when we come up before, we spent the first couple of seasons without really doing anything. We didn't.
But then £10 million on Tavernier is a lot of money for the board to be spending in a position of the pitch where we don't really need to strengthen just to appease Parker.
Well, I think if he's got 10 million to spend, we'll go and spend it on the centre half. Then I'm a little bit. It's one of them things. It's very difficult for us to judge because you don't know kind of what's being said behind the scenes. Because, in my opinion, if like Parker keeps saying we've lost all these players, we've lost so many defenders, well, you could have probably kept Kale for another year. You could have kept Dibs and Rossi if you wanted to. But then you're going, but Parker might have said to the board, shall I let these go? Are we going to get bodies in? And the board have gone, yeah, we'll get you some more centre halves. So he's gone, I'll let these go then. So we don't actually know all the ins and outs, of course. I just think you don't need to go. And even from a business point of view, if I'm an owner of another football club, say Liverpool, because Nat Phillips, I'm sure we'll come on to, is one of the ones linked, obviously. Bournemouth are going, we're desperate for centre halves.
Yeah.
If I'm Liverpool, I'm going, get a few more million out of these. They're desperate.
Yeah.
Don't tell them you're desperate.
No.
Because they'll be like, oh, we'll get a few more mil here. Because they'll do anything to get a centre half.
Yeah.
And so I don't really agree with it, to be honest. I just think it doesn't need to happen. You don't need to come out and say all this publicly. Just do it in the house. Don't worry about it.
He also went on to say, we just need to work out whether we want to try and be competitive. That's the most important thing here. At this present moment in time, I just feel like we're too light. We're too light in where we need to be and what we need to be. And I think the numbers suggest that. If you're looking at the team sheet, you're seeing what we currently have in it, and that is going to be a big ask, really. In the changing room, AFCB TV were in there, and he's doing his little team talk, and he's basically saying, I'm proud of every single one of you boys.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like he's saying, all you boys aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Am I maybe translating that in the incorrect way? Is Parker maybe just voicing frustration in a way that is a bit more abrasive than we're used to, maybe?
I mean, the frustration, we don't know where the frustration lies completely. So, he uses we a lot, the pronoun we. Who's he talking about? We. We need to decide whether we're going to be competitive. We need to decide whether we're going to have, make a fist of this season. So, is he talking about him with, I presume he's talking about him with Blake and Hughes?
Yeah.
And deciding between the three of them what we're going to do.
Or is he talking on behalf of them but not really reflecting their opinions?
The other thing is we don't know what conversations he's had with players. He might be standing in that dressing room saying, lads, Lerma, thanks for filling in at centre half. I'm really sorry. We thought we'd have somebody in by now.
Yep.
We don't know what those internal conversations. We don't really understand where the buck stops with Parker.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a very deliberate move, wasn't there, when we got him in last season to change his name, change that role. He is a head coach. It's almost like they distance him from recruitment, but at the same time, when things are going well and it's all sunny, Parker's the first person to come out and go, right, you know, they've done a great job with me here. I love working with the guys. You know, I report to Blake and Hughes, and I'm loving, you know. So when we get a signing, like a Tavernier or the January transfer window, he sings it from the rooftops. This is brilliant.
Well, you know, the boards, they certainly backed him up in January.
Of course, didn't they?
Well, that's what I was going to say. We had, in my opinion, we had one of the best squads the Championship's ever seen. Yeah. I mean, we're getting squads where, you know, Stanislas can't make the bench, Mepham can't make the bench, Marcondes can't make the bench, and then in January, when we still look like we should get promoted, we bring in 5 on deadline day or whatever it was, and we're bringing in Todd Cantwell to sit on the bench, and Ethan Laird, who's been one of the best right backs in the league, even though we've already got 2. So he wasn't moaning about the recruitment then. So be a bit careful, in my opinion, if you're Scott Parker, because it almost seems like you're calling them out. As I'm saying, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. I do feel like, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I think you spin it both ways, that he likes playing the narrative of being an underdog. I think all of last season, despite everyone knowing Bournemouth had the best squad, he played a narrative of, we're doing really well considering we've got Jordan Zamora, Mark Travers, Jane Anthony, these young players playing for the first time. Yeah, but you have got Todd Cantwell sat on the bench. I mean, Marcondes sat on the bench. So you're choosing to play them players. You have got players that would walk into any other Championship squad on the bench. So I do think he likes to play that narrative. But equally, I'm not saying that's always a bad thing. Sometimes, as we know from previous, that underdog siege mentality within a group can work. Yeah. And it wouldn't shock me if we go into this Villa game and he's in the dressing room going, everyone's predicting us to come 20th. Everyone's talking about how we're not ready. I've mentioned that we're not ready. Everyone's going to be taking us lightly. Come together, prove me that you boys can grind out a winner.
Are you saying it could almost be part of a stunt, calculated mind games?
Well, you got to look at it. It's calculated mind games, or it's self-destructive.
Yeah, we've seen what some Villa fans. We were just looking on YouTube on the preview tomorrow. You'll see these clips, and we were just looking at on YouTube, and it's worked, Tigz, because they know that we're in complete disarray, and it's only Parker that's told them that. No one else has said that.
I mean, the proof will be in the pudding. We're either in complete disarray, or it's the most elaborate ruse that we've ever seen. So the guy's either a genius, or he's I'll say whatever word I was going to say then. The guy's either a genius, or he's a little bit deluded. The fact that he is making these comments, are they directed at the players? No. Could they hurt the players' feelings? Yes. But I'm going to make the assumption that Parker has made this a very common knowledge to the dressing room about how he feels about how recruitment has gone. For him to then take the next step to go to whoever, the Echo, Dorset Live, speak to them about it. Does that mean that he's knocking on the door and he's not getting what he's expecting? From our recruitment team?
There have been 3 interviews. So there's been one that was after the Bristol City game, one after Real Sociedad, and there has been another one as well where I think he's been quite negative as well. But it looks like he said more because Dorset Live rehashed a story using the same quotes again. Therefore, it does look more relentless than what it is. But I still think 3 times is quite a lot. But in my opinion, when I read it, it's almost like he's making himself an island. Okay. He's distancing himself a little bit from Blake and Hughes, etc. Probably not going to put himself in, the best, Christmas card list for the players, because he's implicitly suggesting they're not good enough. I know he's talking about numbers more than their individual talents, but the way it comes across, I don't think it looks particularly good, especially when we've got we've got a lot of Premier League experience, in our squad, and it's almost protecting his reputation a little bit, which is kind of what he did for Fulham. Yeah,
we spoke to some guys from Fulham, haven't we? And it does sound very reminiscent of that. Fell out with the owners. They kind of said to us that it always felt like it was Parker making sure he kept his own reputation intact. What I will say is, I think Scott Parker's an intelligent guy. Yeah. I know everyone who's done I've seen snippets and heard snippets of every coaching course and all that stuff. He's so highly rated. What?
Gary Neville?
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to, yeah. Gary Neville said that he'd done his coaching with Scott Parker.
Yeah. Okay.
And he said there was loads of ex-England players, and Scott Parker was by far the best. By far the best. It doesn't surprise me because I think don't want to say it's in a harsh way, but I wouldn't be surprised if I almost sometimes I feel like he overcomplicates stuff, so maybe he's very more in depth. But that speaks for itself. He was the most impressive, according to Gary Neville. So if he's intelligent and he's that impressive, and he's had relegation on his CV twice with Fulham, once for a full season, he ain't going to be stupid enough to make the same mistake, surely. So he's got to. I think that relegation with Fulham is a good thing, because surely he'll learn from what went wrong with Fulham. But at the moment, it seems like there's loads of stuff that's very similar to what happened at Fulham. So yeah, it remains to be seen. But I'm hoping that experience is had in the Premier League, and maybe that's with the system change that we spoke about previously as well. It's kind of, I'm hoping that he would have learnt from that and he knows what he's doing. It will all, we'll see the proof be in the pudding, mate. But.
And also, as I think Richard Jackson on Twitter was saying, that we've still got quite a bit of time until the transfer window closes, of course. And when you look at the 4 games or first 4 or 5 games on paper, maybe aside from Aston Villa, which itself is going to be a hard task, given their front 3 alone, it's going to be difficult. But they are free hits, really. So really, it sort of takes the pressure off a little bit, you could say.
I don't think you can judge, transfer business is done in a transfer window. You can't judge our summer transfer window until the summer transfer window's over. Yeah. Is he trying to get things to get a wiggle on because he's thinking, the thing is, nothing's going to change for the Villa game. We're fairly confident of that. We're not going to have players arriving and going into the first team.
I'd even be surprised if Tavernier plays. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like starts.
So he's got the way that he's going to play that game. Come whatever. I think really for him, is he trying to get his excuses in early? Is he trying to prepare himself that he possibly has to leave? Maybe. But then at the same time, he could have done that after that. I mean, he's going to be here surely until the transfer window ends, you would think. So that's the time really to have that proper dig and say, look, we've had this summer transfer window and I haven't got what I was promised. Yeah. If that's the way the hierarchy now works, in that actually, he gives them, a list and just sort of expects it to be filled, then maybe he has a right to turn around and say, you haven't done what I expected you to do, what you promised me.
And managers work in specific ways as well. I think our previous manager, Eddie Howe, was always one that seemed to want to get it all done really early so they could be a part of the pre-season tour wherever you're going and get them all in really early. Scott Parker has got a previous of, whether it's right or wrong, of getting them in late. I mean, he done it with Fulham, and then with us, I remember going to start the season with, your Kilkennys, Ribs and Rossies. We didn't sign Cahill, Christie, Lowe, all till the end. Yeah. Then we got to January and we signed 5 players on deadline day. So, and whether that's Parker or above or a bit of both, that it's kind of, for example, Liverpool say, we want 50 million for Nat Phillips. We wait to the end of the window because we think we'll probably get him for 8 because they want to sell him. And that will make sense. So maybe it is a little bit of, people have their priorities, don't they? Do I want to get them in so they're part of the group, or do I want to haggle as much as I can till the end of the window where they might be a bit cheaper? Yeah,
they might be cheaper, but also could it be a sort of wait and see policy based on where we are in the league? If
potentially,
we've got a chance, maybe they'll chuck money at it. If not,
potentially, but
long term.
But I think what I would say to anyone worrying a little bit is Parker likes to do a lot right at the end of the window. We've got a long time, as you mentioned. We have got some hard fixtures. I don't think fixtures, you look into it that much. I think that'd be a bit silly. I think we've taken points off Liverpool and Arsenal in the past. It's not, they're one-off games. Let's not just write them off, even though they're hard. Because if we wrote off every game that we weren't favourites in, we're down, because we're not going to be favourites in any game. No. So, I just think, my head's kind of saying, this happened last season. We got players very late. Whether that's Parker, whether that's the board, whatever the reason is, previous shows that we get players late, so it'll probably happen again. Personally, do I quite like getting players in early and getting them in with the group? Yeah, but maybe sometimes that's not feasible because we're the last of the pick in the Premier League, aren't we? If we're going for the teams that anyone else in the Premier League going for, we're the last one they go to probably, or one of the last groups. So it is tough, but we've got a while till the window closes anyway.
And I think we're moving on to it in a minute anyway. But there are other things that that department are doing in terms of tying up contracts for our players. And it's interesting to me that as soon as we tie up a key contract, the same day, new transfer rumours kind of bubble up. Yeah. It's almost as though maybe, I think AFCB Rob on Twitter will probably disagree with me here, maybe there's a budget we're working within. We're making certain assurances first about the players that we've already got before we start looking at the players that we could possibly get.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, we'll cover off obviously on the preview tomorrow more AFCB team news and Villa and stuff. But after his presser today, he actually said, "My head and the team's head is solely on Saturday. We're going into the biggest league in the world, and we've worked tirelessly last year to be in this position. We need to bring a fighting spirit and a real determination on the weekend if we want to get anything out of the game. As I said, us as a group of players, along with the fans, the staff, the owner and everyone else, it's something we all wanted last year and we need to embrace that." It's almost like he's been told to kind of make his comments less divisive and more collective.
Sam, aren't you? Very sceptical.
It's what I feel, but
it has a very different tone, but then a press conference does have a very different tone
agreed.
to being caught after a game after you've just
by
lost.
a journalist that's independent of the club
Agreed.
rather than...
Yeah.
They always.
I mean, the questions that are asked are different, aren't they?
They always say that with players get in trouble sometimes, and that's why we heard it with Nevin that the why referees don't do things after the game. You're in the heat of the moment, and as Tigz was saying, he's getting asked these questions just after losing, and bringing on Owen Bevan, for example, no disrespect, who's never had an appearance, and somebody's son has asked, "Have you got enough players?" He's going, "Well, obviously not."
Yeah.
And he's right in the heat of the moment, and maybe Parker comes out there and goes, "I probably could have been a bit cleverer there." But listen, it's one of the things. But as I say, it's nice that when he's had a few days to reflect, he's had a press conference that he knows he's aware of. He's saying the right sort of things, and it goes into that siege mentality kind of stuff, which I like. And I think our club in recent years has been built on that.
Yeah.
That underdog siege mentality, and it's worked in our favour. So let's look at that as a bit of a positive spin, I think.
I thought the comments at the time seemed to be quite isolating amid the club's Everyone Together campaign that you've got on the back of a shirt that you're going to be wearing tomorrow, mate. Lovely. Can't wait to see that on the next show. But yeah, I thought they were a little bit isolating. But then you don't know whether journalistic interpretation has made it look worse than what it is. But even if you strip away the padding, I thought the quotes themselves were quite damning. But you don't quite know at what point those were done. Was it like in the tunnel, 15 minutes after a game where he was really infuriated, like quite a lot of fans were because they couldn't see any progression. But anyway, those comments were made, and then the story was rehashed on Tuesday. Should we tell people, mate, about the overlap? Because we mentioned Gary Neville, right? Obviously, the second part has come out today, so you probably watched it and you're probably waiting. Just where's Todd? Because obviously on Twitter we posted about it.
Might have seen me in the background. My shirt was on. See red and black. That's me.
There was an issue.
Yeah, there was a few issues.
Not just with us as well.
A few other clubs as well.
A miscommunication,
frustration.
Let's say. But yeah, myself and Tom, we went up to Manchester for
nice road trip, though.
Yeah, lovely road trip. Cracking KFC on the way back. But obviously, we will be on again. Yeah. However, sadly, due to an issue, we won't be. But it's not only us.
Yeah.
Fulham. A number of other clubs weren't represented. The ones that were are the big clubs. Big club bias. Well, that's what you're probably all thinking, but we've been told.
Yeah, they're very.
It was an issue.
Yeah, it was very frustrating because obviously we travelled a long way. But you know what these things are like: time constraints and confusions and stuff like that.
Great to meet Flav.
Tottenham fan. He was great.
He was lovely.
And we managed to chat to some people. And obviously, actually, as soon as I got there, I thought, I need to go to the toilet. There's one person in the toilet, Jamie Carragher.
Go on, tell me. Did he?
Oh, you're right, mate.
So who was in there first? Tell me how it went.
He was in there.
It's not a blind date or anything.
No, he was there in the queue. I thought, I'm not going to go right next to him.
Yeah, it was a bit. They're like big toilets.
They were big, so I kind of separated myself. But yeah, he just said that he said, I quite like Bournemouth being in the Premier League. He said, because I said, we're here for the season, kind of like joking. And he said, you never know. And he went on to say that we'll come 20th. But no, he seemed nice. And everyone was nice, weren't they, to be fair? Everyone was really nice. We managed to chat to some people. But time constraints, things like that. They couldn't quite squeeze us and a number of other clubs in.
Ickle Bournemouth
didn't quite make it. But we'll be back. They've assured us of that, and they're going to do some other bits. We've got the World Cup coming up, and there'll be a few more overlaps where they'll discuss other things. But yeah, it was nice to be there and watch it and that. But
didn't I hear that one of the topics of conversation very briefly was Scott Parker?
Yeah.
You were there, and Fulham fans were there.
We were looking at each other going, we could probably be on camera.
And who were they asking information from? Who were they getting
Gary
the opinion
Neville,
of?
Gary Neville, yeah.
All right.
And that's where he said about Parker being the best coach that he.
Full of praise for Parker. We should have probably seen if you've seen the overlap. And I think there were certain points that were made where Tom would have been ideal to maybe contest it or add to it with a little bit more pedigree than maybe what Gary Neville can. I know he's the pundit, but he's the AFC Bournemouth pundit, right? But anyway, we were on our way back from the overlap, and we saw this rehash of the Dorset Live article, and everything seems to be like really negative and stuff. And then it goes on to Wednesday, and then Solanke signs a new deal, a new contract extension.
Still got that seaside house.
June 2026, and you know what? That's really great news. And this is how we've been flip-flopping. We're having some like real negative days, and all of a sudden one piece of news, and then in come some more stories.
Up come the Mark McAdam bubbles.
Yeah.
Neto was very quickly. Was it the same day? Same day when being linked with another goalkeeper, which we'll talk about in a second. But also 3 centre halves.
Yeah, there's been a few little links in there.
So I've seen rumours for 4. Mark said 3.
Yeah, he said 3 centre halves were in talks.
So Marcos Senesi.
Yeah, what a player. I've followed his career for a long time.
from Feyenoord.
Yeah.
Also, Nat Phillips, of course. Twanzebe from.
Yeah, he's highly
United.
rated, isn't he? I've heard about him.
And then also Sepp van der Berg as well.
Yeah, he was on at Preston, but he's another youngster at Liverpool.
But one of them is possibly more conjecture than substance. Yeah?
I'd probably say Van den Berg if I had to just guess.
Yeah, I can't see 2 coming through the door from Liverpool.
No, and I kind of more inclined to think that Nat would come back.
Yeah.
Whether that be a loan or a permanent or whatever. But nice to have a few links, and nice for, we know when it's from McAdam and various sources that it's legit as well, so that's good. And yeah, goalkeeper one, bit weird, but we do need a goalkeeper, but from Barcelona, didn't expect that. I don't think we've ever had a Brazilian at the football club either, so that'd be quite nice to have a Brazilian. But we've nice to have a few links, and it was more positivity on it, to know that we're doing bits behind the scenes. It's just maybe, going to take a bit of time.
So there's this thing that me and Tom do, right? There's this thing that me and Tom do, like whenever we are linked with players, we tend to just WhatsApp each other and come up with chants that may or
I didn't know you were going to do this, just throw me under the bus.
May not work.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm going to do my own.
Oh, you're doing your own?
Right. This is to Britney Spears Crazy. Right? Just bear with me on this. Here we go. Marcus Senesi, we just can't sleep. With him at Bournemouth, we will win the league. Marcus Senesi, it feels so right. Thinking of Senesi keeps me up all night.
Other AFC Bournemouth podcasts are available.
Yeah. Please don't unsubscribe.
Shall I do the other one? Shall I do the other one?
On,
which would never work as a football.
Oh, but the other one would. Yeah, sure. Go on.
I remember when Scott lost his mind. Right at the back, we were looking short. So we signed a player from Feyenoord. Marcus Senesi.
Oh.
Tell me that's not brilliant.
If that ever gets sung,
Oh,
I would
God.
be astonished.
Bob Marley.
What?
Don't worry, Twanzebe. Oh,
Mate,
God,
this is it. We got to do a separate.
This is going to be a video, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I think we need Jeff in for that.
Yeah,
we need bit musical
we need
background.
to get Brad in. Brad could make this happen. So he's one of them, rumoured at around 15 million euros.
Yeah, that's all right.
A lot of money, but
but it is a lot of money, Sam. I don't think it is a lot of money.
What you mean,
yeah.
When you think how much we got for Nathan Ake, right? You got to weigh it up now that the world moves very quickly in terms of football transfers. I don't think that is a lot of money.
But when you look at some of the other players that we've been linked with for less, then you think, they're good value. Okay, so
But are they very good? For less, it's just.
I mean, like Nat Phillips, I presume that would be a loan. Presume.
Yeah, maybe it would be interesting.
I mean, I know that
They wanted 10 million for him, don't they?
They've been.
It could be a loan with an option to buy. These days, you can get real good kind of instalment options in.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we kind of go to them. We'll have them on loan. If we stay in the Premier League, we've got an obligation to buy. Maybe. If we go down, we might not be able to afford it. You can work with stuff like that, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was a loan with an option to buy. But if the right deal come up, we'd probably try and get a permanent, maybe.
And what about Twanzebe then? Because but because what I think I was seeing like 5 million or something.
I mean, which sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
He was on loan at Villa. He's been on loan at Villa before and done okay, but he's at Man U. All depends, doesn't it? Ten Hag, new manager. Does he think, no, he's not part of my plans?
Yeah.
You can sign him, or does he think, oh, actually, don't mind him, get him a loan? It depends on that situation, but that's another one very similar to Nat Phillips. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a loan with an option to buy, maybe.
And then Sepp van der Berg.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's
Done well at Preston, I think.
He's done
when
well
on
at
loan.
Preston, but this is the thing. Like, there's two things here. There's players who are going to actually push for a starting place. So you've got to have someone who's as good as, if not better than, Lloyd Kelly, in my opinion, coming in. Okay, to really push, to really make it worthwhile.
So not Nat Phillips then?
I think Nat can play against next to Lloyd.
Okay,
but
he's not...
I wouldn't necessarily be pulling in a guy who played for Preston last season, who hasn't got Premier League experience. But what I do recognise as well is that Scott Parker likes a fat squad.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He likes lots and lots of players. That's the way he is.
And leading on from Tigz saying that Sepp van der Berg would probably not be as well. He's only got 1% on my... I done a little poll.
Tell me about this poll then.
Well, I done a little poll just saying if you could only have one, just to see who people say, and name them 4 centre-halves. Sepp van der Berg got 1%.
Right.
Axel Twanzebe at 6%. Nat Phillips at 33%. But Marcos and 80%. This is why a good name, 60%.
Never heard of him.
No one's so people are commenting saying, no one's I've never heard of him, but I'll vote for him.
Marcus and Easy, I just can't sleep.
It's Juan Turbe all over again, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's probably the fact that he has played for Argentina, which you can't be a mug to play for Argentina. Feyenoord, and he is highly rated. But yeah, we haven't actually seen him. I personally, if I'm trying to think with my sensible cap on, I like the thought of Nat Phillips because he's already been at the club.
Yeah.
He's already had a partnership with Lloyd Kelly, which we've alluded to in the past, seems to grow with every game. I actually think for a young lad, because he's got the experience of playing at a big football club in Europe, he's actually got leadership qualities at a young age. And I think him and Lloyd Kelly would bring a good bit of leadership at the Pear. I think we'd probably want more than one centre-half anyway into the club.
Ideally 3.
Probably, yeah.
Ideally.
I think ideally we wanted to send James Hill out on loan. I think he'd probably start the season. So, yeah, I mean, I would love Nat Phillips, and if we could get one of the others, then great. But I really want Nat Phillips back, to be honest.
We're having people talk about Bournemouth like Fabrizio Romano, like tweeting about Bournemouth.
The club,
because we're Premier League now, but obviously, I think it was him that broke the Neto news, wasn't it?
Yeah, he come out.
He confirmed it.
Yeah, he confirmed it. Like I said, there were some rumours and things like that. And I kind of thought, I think you sent a message to me, Tigz, and kind of thought, oh, that's probably a load of rubbish.
Sounds nonsense.
Yeah, and then like Mark McCann and Fabrizio Romano all coming out, you think, oh my God, it's legit. But
dethroning Travers though.
Back of the Neto, am I right?
Back of the Neto.
But no, weird one. We've go into it, Tigz. We've kind of spoke about this, haven't we, with the keeper stuff.
I mean, I don't think you come in a player of that. I know he's not first choice for Barcelona, but we wouldn't be signing the first keeper for Barcelona. But you know, his history that he's had, the pedigree that he's got, he's not going to want to come and play and not play and sit on the bench for Bournemouth, is he?
And we're not going to want to pay big wages to someone to sit on the bench, surely.
No.
So, is this a scenario where actually things have shifted, things have become a little bit different? A player's been offered to our football club, potentially, rather than us going and looking for one. Yeah. Because let's look at the other goalkeepers we've been looking at. The other goalkeepers we've been looking at, with the greatest respect, if any of you are out there watching, a little bit older in their years, but also are looking to...
Look like backup keepers.
Yeah, they do,
can push
really.
the number one, yeah.
Push the number one. But this guy looks like he's not going to be just interested in pushing. He's going to put him completely out the scene. So... it's a really interesting scenario. It could be that maybe an agent has approached us. If you're Scott Parker and you've got a potential to bring in a goalkeeper who is, on paper, experienced, etc., better than your current keeper, do you do it? I mean, it's sort of sensible. I mean, I'd hate Travers to lose his starting spot, but at the same time...
Yeah. Like you say, if it becomes an option, and we spoke about it off air, that when we're in the Championship, I remember Eddie coming out and saying we were well happy with Lee Camp. Yeah. But Southampton give you a call and go, Boric is available for loan, would rather stay in the area. You go, I can't reject Artur Boric. Yeah. So he wasn't looking for a goalkeeper, but when it becomes available, like you mentioned there, then it's hard to turn down. It's an interesting one, and we've said before, I think we might have mentioned on previous shows, that there's some statistic that I haven't got off the top of my head, but that when teams get promoted, it's very rare in recent years they stick with that keeper. They don't last long. I think Fulham done it before. But yeah, I think often the keeper, they realise the step up, and a new keeper often replaces them. We've obviously seen that Fulham have signed Leno from Arsenal, and obviously Forest have lost their keeper supporting Dean Henderson. So it seems like a bit of a theme. I would say though, Mark Travers, I don't think he'll shirk it. He'll go. Well, in January we brought in Freddie Woodman.
Yeah.
He couldn't get off me.
Nowhere.
And there's no way Woodman was coming to sit on the bench. He was only alone.
Yeah.
But he couldn't get me. And I think he'd almost rise to the occasion. And
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing having two competing. But yeah, as long as Neto didn't come in and just chuck Travers out, which I don't think would happen. I think we saw in the past that Woodman didn't do that. But Scott went. Travers is still performing. But I think it will be more of a case of, yeah, you can come in and be the number one now, but Travers has got the spot. It's his to lose. It's his to lose. And that doesn't bother me.
There was rumoured interest with Dan Bentley as well, wasn't there, from Bristol
City,
But
yeah.
That sort of...
Well, that seems to have quietened down because of the Neto, really.
Yeah.
He's in his last year, I think, at Bristol City, and Bristol City could do with a fun. It's one of them, obviously, when we got like Christie and people like that, they're quite low transfer fees because they're in their last year and not signing a new deal. I think he's late 20s, 29, 30, something like that. And like Tigz said, that screams a little bit more of happy to be Premier League backup but could come in, like Smithies, like Lossell. But, I think Parker obviously knows what he wants because he brought in Lossell and Smithies, and I think every Bournemouth fan would go, that makes sense, fine.
Yeah,
but he obviously looked at them in training and thought, no, they're not what I want. So, fair enough, but it does sound like this Neto one's seems to be progressing. Seems like there's talks ongoing and there's no transfer fee.
I heard there was a potential medical. Flying in for a medical today.
I think this could happen quite soon.
We're in a good place to go turn
we should see.
Yeah, have a little look. But mate, I'm well up for a Brazilian that sounds a bit like Net for back of the net. I'm well up for him coming in. Let's see.
Do one of the on the way back from Manchester. You were testing me. Be interesting if you can put like. Do you remember there were like a few nationalities? Don't say the player, but just say the countries of which we've only ever had one player. So, like, for instance, I'll go first. Iraq.
Yep, we've only had one from
We've
Iraq.
had one from Iraq. Finland, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't one Liechtenstein as well? Liechtenstein.
Faroe Islands.
Faroe
One
Islands.
for the
And
Faroe
then
Islands.
one more, if we can. I remember you saying Spain, but it turned out there were two, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we went Spain and we knew the obvious one.
Yeah, but there was another younger lad that we had on loan.
Tigz has got it. Me and you forgot it initially. But yeah, it's interesting because I always look. Basically, the reason I was doing it was because of the Neto.
Yeah.
So we can't have had a Brazilian, and we haven't.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some weird ones in there going, oh, we've had someone from that country before. I didn't realise.
What about Ghana? No, was it?
Was there one or two from that? I feel like there might have been two because of a loan. Actually, on the top of my head, I feel like there might have been two in the end. But yeah, it might have been Cameroon. There was one. Yeah, there was Cameroon.
All right. So what we got then? Cameroon,
Finland,
Iraq, Liechtenstein, Finland,
Faroe
and Faroe
Islands.
Islands.
Let us know.
Go on.
Okay.
Put it in the
I think
comments now.
I've got
Don't
them.
Google it.
When we finished camera, can I check?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I've got
do
it.
it.
Yeah. But I've got a funny feeling. Is Emi Marcondes dual nationality?
Yeah, I don't know because he represents Denmark, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I think he might be also Brazilian
Oh, really?
Really?
or Portuguese. Yeah, I think so. Might be completely wrong.
Right. Let us know that. I would say
We've seen his
Tigz
Tigz
waffling
nonsense.
again.
You think it might be Brazilian? Well, we've seen his naked top half. Well,
Yeah. No comment on that. I might have no comment. I might know he's Brazilian.
but it seems like it's just been reported recently that none of these will get over the line. Not that it matters because even if we did sign them now,
They ain't gonna be playing.
they're not going to be playing. And even for Man City, like next Saturday, it's not going to happen. So it feels like we've got almost like time in the bank, not to sort of like need to rush them through, given the fixtures we've got. I don't know if that's the like a wrong attitude to have, but when you're playing Man City, Liverpool, etc., I don't think truly matters. But
yeah, it's a difficult one there. I would take these players coming in and being available for the Arsenal game at home. I would probably take that, but I can't wait for Senesi to pocket Haaland though. After this.
Just imagine.
Let's go into it as we can. We've still got a good 11 for sure. We need we need to strengthen the squad. We need some obvious areas at the back, and there's a few issues there. But you're telling me that 11 can't possibly on their day at home with hopefully the crowd going beat Aston Villa? They're not. They're a good side, but come on, we've got a good 11.
Yeah.
Dom Solanke, Philip Bear, we've got a good team. We'll get bodies over the line. We'll have a good enough squad, and let's see what happens.
38 cup finals.
38 cup finals. Tigz, in a word, I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think about Aston Villa in a word.
In a word.
Don't.
Oh!
Wait for the preview tomorrow. Cliffhanger.
Ah, yes.
We've got a preview coming out tomorrow where we are going to give you our opinions about Villa. Of course, we're going to preview the game and lots more besides. I cannot wait. It's been a pleasure to be with you this Thursday evening. My name is Sam Davis.
My name is Tom Jordan.
And I'm Tigz.
Press the subscribe button. Until the next one. Cheers.
Up the chairs.
Up the chairs.
The Ches.